G'day guys, and welcome once again to Comics to Movies and More. Tonight we have a awesome guest on to talk about something completely different in regards to Kickstarters and creation and that type of thing. But before we do that, we go live each Sunday night. So if you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button and hit that like. And as always, Stephen, how are you tonight, mate?
I'm good. Oh, it's Sunday night. Nice and chill right now. So yourself? How's everything with you?
I have had an absolute massive week. So we have a property other than the one I'm living in at the moment. We think, fingers crossed, that we've sold it. I've had some good news around some projects that might be coming up in 2022, but I can't talk about it yet. But it's got me super excited. So I've had a massive week. Fractured Shards is going to print this week. I've got the final proofs, which literally 10 minutes before the show has gone live. XCT Monsters, I got the final proofs for those. We've got the 13th Labour up on Kickstarter at the moment, and I tell you what, we might even announce tonight when Fractured Shards Volume 2 goes live. I don't know, but it's been massive, and I love it. It's been great. So, but how's your week?
By the way, it's such a tease. Oh, I've got all these cool stuff, but not saying.
I'm not going to tell you anything. Yeah,
I'm going to pester you after this, and you're not going to tell me anyway if I pester you.
No, no, probably won't. No. But if anyone's watching, leave a note in the comments, make a comment. We'll say hi, shout you all out and everything. But tonight, our guest is Nathan Feuerriegel. Now, you guys who watch the show would know that I talk about him all the time. You would see the intro video to our show. Nathan is an amazing video editor. He puts all this stuff together. So we're super excited to have him on the show. He'll be talking about his favorite movie, which is the Titanic. And then we will be picking his brains about how he goes about creating videos, what programs, sources he uses, and everything. So without further ado, how are we tonight, Nathan? How you going, mate?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much for making yourself available, man.
No, thank you for having me. This is great. It's my first podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
Now I feel very special.
Yeah.
So before we get into asking you about yourself and how you got into video creating and all that, we're going to talk about Titanic, which is your choice for your favorite film. So we will let you start off about why, well, one, whether you like it, and two, what you did like about it or you didn't like about it. So yeah.
Yeah. So I picked Titanic because it is probably the movie that I remember that pretty much ignited my passion for films. I think I saw it when I think I was 10 years old. So I was with my family. I was a little boy. I was a wee lad. So I believe I was with my family and we were on holidays and we were visiting some family friends. And it was a Saturday morning, and I remember that because I was watching the Rage Top 50 Countdown. Do you remember that? Did you ever watch that on ABC? Yeah. So I used to watch that. And I was watching the Top 50 Countdown, and the number one song at the time was Celine Dion, "My Heart Will Go On." So that came on, and I remember being like excited to see it. And it was such a good music video. Like it kind of just amped me up. Like it was. It kind of interjects with the scenes from the film, and I was just like, "Wow, this movie looks so amazing!" And it had just come out at the cinema, so like I ran up to mum and dad, and I was like, "Can we go to the movies? I want to go see it." And as a little 10-year-old kid, my attention span was pretty terrible. There's not many things that really interest me, Yeah, I was pretty much all over the place. But this is something that I really wanted to see. And I wasn't aware of the runtime or anything like that. But I went to go see it with my mum and dad, and I think with the family friends. And I remember just sitting in the seat and being absolutely transfixed and completely enamored with everything that was unfolding on the screen. It was the first big epic movie that I had seen. I was too young to see movies like Jurassic Park and stuff. So I didn't see that on the big screen, but the Titanic was really the big first movie that I saw. And I sat through the whole 3 hours and 15 minutes, I believe the runtime is. And I was so just blown away by the visual effects. I was traumatized. I was crying. Like it was like I was a mess. And I remember walking out of the cinema, and I was like walking probably 10 meters in front of everybody else, and I was crying, and I was trying to like compose myself, and I was a mess. But I was also like fully prepared to go see it again. I didn't understand why I was that affected by it, but I was crying and stuff, but I wanted to see it again. And like looking back on it now that I'm older, it was just one of those films that kind of had everything. It had that kind of like heart-wrenching love story. It was like this historical event that kind of, for decades, people were talking about. People still talk about it today. You know what I mean? It was something that was so massive and huge when it occurred in 1912. And it was the visual effects, how the sets were so massive. Everything just seemed so real. And I was so obsessed with it that I went with my mum to the store, and we bought the album. Like the music is such a big part of it as well. You know, so James Horner, who did the musical score, so may rest in peace. But he created amazing music. So we went and got the soundtrack, and I would listen to that with my mum. I went and bought kind of behind the scenes books because I really wanted to know what went into it and how it was made. And just watching all of these people bring together this huge production, I was just like, how did they do this? You know, I want to know more about it. But the thing that was most interesting to me was how they put it together visually. Like I really enjoyed that. And as I got older, I started kind of tampering with Windows Movie Maker. So that's something that I kind of use, and I'll put like videos together and stuff like that, and I love doing that. But with Titanic, it's definitely something that ignited my passion. I love James Cameron.
She loves that movie too, so that's.
I don't think there's anyone who doesn't love it.
But I have to admit, I don't know whether this is the first film, but this was came out in 1997. But it is, I feel like, one of the first films that really went into detail about that behind the scenes. Maybe Terminator 2. I'm not sure what year that came out, but I definitely
91.
remember. Because I definitely remember the behind the scenes on this one, because it was so spectacular, especially when they showed how the ship breaks and the people falling, and you know, how they actually had it, like one of the stuntmen actually fell and hit all of those things on the way down, where you think it was graphics. It's actually a stuntman and hits things all the way.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable. So and Chris said it was he remembers it being so long it was across 2 VHS tapes. Or are you too young for VHS? Was VHS around?
No, I remember the VHS. That was the that was I remember when it came out in '98, I believe. Like my mum went and got the VHS tape, and she actually surprised me. So I was like, I remember like coloring in, and I was on the floor in my room, and she came in and she snuck away to go get it from Blockbuster Video, I think. And then she came back and just threw it down on the ground, and I was like jumping up and down. I was so excited, and I went and watched it straight away. And it was one of those tapes that I just used and abused. So So to the point where the ending was literally,
I'm video
So,
easy man myself. So yeah.
Oh, how were you? Yeah. So I literally like watched it so many times, from rewinding it and playing it, rewinding and playing it, that the end of it, like the syncing, was like unwatchable. Like I couldn't watch it because I used to have watched it so many times. But yeah, I remember that. It was, but I could always
you
sit
make me
through
feel
it.
old because you said you were 10 when you saw this. I'd almost graduated high school when this came out. So, yeah. But
I think it's funny you should mention Terminator when you're talking about the making behind the scenes of this. There is something common when you mention Terminator. They're all James Cameron movies. So he loves his behind the scenes thing. Terminator, T2, Titanic, Aliens, and Avatar all have huge behind the scenes stuff. Like he actually makes it a whole documentary if you watch any of his movies and how he did it.
Yeah, and apparently he's a bit of a tyrant to work with.
Like the Titanic one went for over an hour. Like it was not just like, here we'll do a couple of voiceovers and a couple of photos or videos behind the scenes. Like it actually went into a lot of detail around the graphics and everything like this. Now, I'm not going to put up Jackie's comment because I know that you wanted to bring this up, Stephen. But before I let you go in, I'm just going to say that I did go watch this movie. I really enjoyed it. It is one of those like timeless classics. I think it's like one of those movies that you can watch over and over again, even though you know how it ends and everything. It really still holds up over time. Where there's a lot of films, especially those that around that 90s, they seem to age quite quickly, that those 90s and early 2000s, but this one still holds up, type of thing. But I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to go into as much detail. Stephen, you said that you watched it 60 times at the movies, so
I loved it. I really do like this. It's one of my, for a love story movie, it's something I really enjoy because it's like, I love James Cameron's movie. They're so technical. And at the time, before Avatar, I think you guys know, this was the most expensive movie to make ever for its time. So, and you can see where the money was spent. He basically built entire ship decks. It's like, how close do we want it? Let's just build this whole ship section. It's like, how much is that going to cost? A couple of million, doesn't matter. That's what he did. And he also built it, if you watch the documentary, to be flooded, unflooded, flooded, unflooded, so you could keep doing multiple takes and multiple scenes and multiple angles and all the rest of it. The guy was obsessive. It was fantastic for us. I would hate to be the actor there because you got to be submerged so many times to keep doing the same shots.
How what most highest at the box office for almost 2 decades, I think. So well, who topped? Was it Avengers that ended up?
No, Avatar.
Avatar. Another James Cameron film. Another James Cameron film. So there you go.
So, I'm hanging for Avatar 2. I'm like, it's far too long between your films, mate. I don't know what that goes into them, but there's just far too long.
Yeah, I feel like it's been talking about Avatar 2 for forever, right? We've been seeing so much about it, and just not much has come out. So
but let's get to what Jackie and you want to talk about. On the big debate, did Rose have enough room on the floating door? For me, I say no, because that means both of you would have to have been partly in the water. But that is my opinion. Where do you guys stand on that?
I'll let you go first because my take is very controversial on this one. So I'll let you go.
James Cameron is so meticulous that I don't think that is something that he would overlook if that was something that could occur. So I think from a point of view of watching the way the film was cut, you'll see that she comes up to breathe and she looks for Jack, and then they're swimming over, and then they find the door, which is actually a piece of the grand staircase So, you know, it's obviously just doesn't weigh very much, but flimsy. She climbs on it. He goes to climb on it, and then it capsizes. So he falls into the water, and then there's a close-up of him where she climbs back on, and he goes, "Get on, stay on, Rose." And there's a close-up of him where you could literally see his thought process, where he's literally realizing that he's not going to fit on that door, that it's not going to happen, you know. And I think that it all kind of ties in with, you know, the tragedy of, you know, Titanic itself. You know, like it was a massive tragedy, and I think it was the way to end it like that was, you know, it was so affecting and it was so emotional, and I think it moved people so that they could really feel just like how devastating this tragedy was for a lot of people even at that time. So that's my take. No, I don't think that he could fit on the door at all. I think it all was very you know, it was meant to happen. So
Oh no, I 100% agree with you. In case anybody hasn't watched it, there's actually a Mythbusters episode where they actually scientifically tried to prove one way or the other whether they could both fit in the door. Spoiler alert, they both could have fit on the door, but it would have sunk. The only way they figured out to basically have both people on the door at the same time was if Rose and Jack basically took off their life jackets, used the life jackets as additional floating devices, and they could have both gone on the door, life jackets as flotations, and they would both have stayed. So that's the Mythbusters, if you really want to come down to scientific. They actually got down to the weight, and they actually figured out that was the only way they could survive. But my take is actually a little bit more interesting, because I don't even believe Jack was on the door. And hear me out first. I don't believe Jack even existed, because Rose was.
I kicked him, guys. You know, seriously, you think that Jack doesn't exist? He can't be on the show, mate.
And you're cut.
I'm back. No.
Let's hear it. I'm actually interested. Let's hear it.
It's a little bit controversial, but, you know, just bear with me for a little bit. So Rose is an unreliable narrator. She's all dementia, God knows whatever that's there. So she's telling the story back from what she wants to remember. Now think about it this way. There was actually a reference, I think, when they were mentioning that they couldn't find Jack's name on the list of people, or, you know, the survivors or the people who died, and they said, "Oh, Jack won his place in a game of cards." So there's actually no proof that Jack was on said boat. Rose was in a horrible engagement. She didn't want any of this. She wanted a happy memory on the boat, so she made Jack up. So that's the whole take. So Jack couldn't have drowned because Jack was never on that boat.
Ooh.
What's your take on that one?
Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. But I do agree with you that there are certain parts of the film that could kind of lead that to be believed. I mean, like, she was, I think with what she was in, the situation that was in, she was very kind of psychologically tormented. You know what I mean? And then there's a comment, I think, in the beginning with the old Rose. I think there's a comment made by her family member, and she says, "Oh yeah, this you know," she says her name or something. She goes, "Oh yeah, do you remember Grandma? We met a few minutes ago on the deck." And she goes, "Oh yes." You know, like, she's completely suffering with her memory, but she's able to sit there and retell this story that is so complex, you know, from start to finish. So I understand that theory could be, that's very interesting.
I didn't watch it this week, so now, just because you've said that, I'm gonna go back and watch it and look for that idea, because, you know, it is. She is narrating it. It's quite you know, convenient that he just happens to win a ticket, that no one else knows who he is, no one else is looking for him, and all that type of stuff. So it is a very convenient story to say, hey, you know, give me my ruby type of thing.
And she cuts ties with all of her family, so she never sees any of her family. She never sees her toxic fiance again. And when they come around and they're asking for names, and she says Dawson, Rose Dawson, it's like she creates that. Yeah, like she's just created them. So now that she's like she creates that life. So I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But please watch the movie as James Cameron intended, without all this. Because it's still a really good story. I still really.
Yeah.
I do have.
We're going to go viral on YouTube now for all the wrong reasons, Stephen. For all the wrong reasons.
By the way, it's Shane's birthday today. So Shane from COMICS, he's a great support of the show. He comes on quite a lot, and it's his birthday. So I saw him in the comments. So Shane, you didn't get away with it, but happy birthday. I hope you had a great day, mate.
Happy birthday, Shane. So do you think it's a good idea to be a suite on the Titanic?
I think if it's sunk, it's probably not a good idea.
No, I don't think so. But it's interesting in regards that that they wanted to have more lifeboats on there, but they were so confident that it wouldn't sink, and then it didn't look aesthetically pleasing that they took the extra life rafts off, which is just crazy, but just speaks to how full of ourselves we can be sometimes in regards to these things.
They were more concerned with making headlines and all of that stuff than the actual safety of the passengers, and it kind of looking a certain way and then calling it the unsinkable ship, when in fact it wasn't unsinkable at all. That there were many things that they overlooked in the way that it was constructed that would show that if they ever there was ever a situation where it was flooding, it would be there.
Yeah, I always wondered if Scott Morrison's great grandfather or something was doing the spin on that floor for them. It's great. Sorry, no politics on the show. I'll break down
controversial.
But the engineering side of it is actually a little bit more interesting as well. Like again, if the Titanic had not swerved, if they actually had hit the iceberg head on. It also would have survived because the way they designed the ship, they put the front of the ship is actually the most heavily armored, if you will, because it's actually meant to be an icebreaker. They were so afraid that they're going to damage the ship. They actually tried to steer so that they wouldn't hit the iceberg. Now, if they had decided to actually go straight into the iceberg, it wouldn't have ruptured, because what sank the Titanic was because they actually I think they split more than 4 levels, if I remember right.
Yeah.
It split along the side, which was the weakest part of the ship, and it caused it to flood. Now, if it hit the ship head on, the ship could have got wedged in the iceberg, but then you could have pulled it away. It wouldn't have sunk. The only reason it sunk was because you ripped the sides and it flooded. Hitting it straight on, it would have been fine.
Yeah,
it would have been sunk a little bit, but it wouldn't have sunk.
Yeah. Now you're from Queensland, Nathan. Like it's like your parents telling you don't swerve. If you see a kangaroo, but your first thought is to swerve. Unfortunately, is to kind of swerve. Like where I used to live, like we never had to worry about kangaroos or anything like that. But now moving to regional Victoria, like when I get up and go to work in the morning or coming home during twilight, like you need to really be mindful, and all the time I'm like I'm reminding myself, going, okay, if I see a kangaroo, try to slow down as much as possible, but just keep going straight ahead. Don't swerve, type of thing. But I really don't know like
how you'd react,
how I would react until I'm in that reaction. So you're seeing this massive iceberg coming towards you. The last thing you're like, hey, I'm just going to go straight through it.
Let's speed up, guys. Let's speed up.
But there's one difference, though. The difference was that a kangaroo jumps in front of you. You've got half a second to think about it.
Yeah, to think
on the
about
Titanic, you have half an hour to think about it, because it takes so long to turn the boat. So they could have been thinking, should we swerve? Should we not swerve? What should we do here? They probably had a committee. I'm serious. They probably had a captain's meeting for a good 10 minutes to go, what should we do? Because
Yeah.
to turn the boat is a really active decision to turn it. So
I'd
it's
watch
not
a
like you're
45-minute film with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman playing those parts. Should we swerve? Should we not swerve?
no. And the whole point would be, it's, they made a conscious decision to move the boat. It wasn't oh my God, yeah, kangaroo, left, right.
No,
So,
exactly. It was a conscious
but
decision.
what was it? The end, if I remember right, again, if somebody I'm wrong, please correct me in the chat. The engineer who built it was actually on the boat, if I remember right. And he didn't want the boat damaged. That's actually one of the big reasons the boat was swerved, because if it hit head on, there would still be damage to the boat, it would have looked wrecked or whatever. They actually swerved because they actually didn't want the boat damaged, the front of the boat damaged. So it was
how
a
did
bit
that turn out?
not very well.
Not very well at all.
It was a bit of hubris. It was basically, I don't want my boat damaged. Let's see if we can swerve to avoid any damage to the boat.
Yeah.
And that's what sunk it.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
they should have just
exactly.
gone straight. I bet you half the
ego and arrogance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have gone head on, see what happens. If we hit it, damage the front, power your way through it, see what happens. That would have been the right call, as opposed to let's swerve, let's see if we can avoid it. But if we can't avoid it, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Spirit, when they didn't have the penguins out of Madagascar there, they would have been able to stop it. I digress. But, we've hit halfway through the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show an example of one of your videos, Nathan, and then we'll come back to you and talk to you about your process and all that about video making.
Sure thing. Let's do it.
My name is Detective Sebastian Vitro of the District Major Crimes Unit. And I see things.
Where are we going?
Horrible things.
You'll see.
When a moment in time fractures, a shard can avenge a life.
Sebastian.
Boom. Now, if anyone hasn't seen that before, that is the trailer to Fractured Shards, which we co-created with Nathan's brother Dan. But that, man, every time I watch that, I absolutely love it. I'm in my cinema room at the moment. I actually, when I had my parents over here, I connected up it to my screen, which is 3 meters, and I played all the different videos that you've made for me so far on the big screen. I absolutely love it. It's so cool.
That's so nice. Yeah,
I've seen that trailer like 50 times. I've seen that more than I've seen the Titanic. Look at this way.
I feel honored. Thank you. Thank you.
There you go. Sabrina said we love it. Grace said always an amazing to see this trailer. So
thank you.
Yeah. So how did you get into like you talked about Titanic and got you interested in the film industry and everything, but how did you get into like creating these type of videos? Because Stephen will attest to this, that done things in videos and everything, but there's a lot of other stuff that's much easier to pick up than that. So what kind of got you into it?
Yeah, so as I was saying before, I started kind of fiddling around with Windows Movie Maker. So I would kind of play with clips and stuff on that. I used to like make stuff with my dad's camera and like, load it on and make little videos and stuff like that. I did, montages and stuff. I think I made montages for like my parents' anniversary, and I loved doing that. And so I really wanted to learn more. So I kind of taught myself when YouTube came along. So I started kind of downloading all the software. I got into Adobe, the Adobe Creative Suite. So Premiere Pro was usually what I used. So I would just, make like movie trailers and stuff like that. And that was kind of the thing that I started becoming passionate about. So I went to uni. I did film production, but I wanted to see if I had any interest in any of the other parts of production. And it was always video editing that I kind of came back to. I could literally sit there in a room and just lose myself in it for, all day. Like I would sit there for 12, 13 hours at uni. Like I was the one who would like edit. Like I did a couple of short films. I did like a documentary, and there was stuff that never like went past uni, but it's all really cool experience. And like leaving uni, I knew that I wanted to kind of get involved with the video editing, but getting into it is really, it's difficult. It's a whole other kettle of fish. It's a very competitive industry. There's always going to be somebody who knows more than you. There's always going to be somebody who's, more experienced and that kind of stuff. So I would just kind of sit there and teach myself. YouTube video after YouTube video, I would go to different websites where they have footage that you can practice on, and I would just practice. I don't know. I guess it's something that I felt like I had a bit of a knack with. I feel like I have a message that I want to convey, and I feel like I'm able to kind of visualize it and put it together, and then move everything around to kind of fit what I'm trying to convey, like a certain emotion, because I think that's what it is with video editing. You're trying to convey an emotion.
I think that's the hardest part that like I have like to everyone out there, this is the directions I give Nathan. Mate, can you please make me a trailer for this comic book? That's about direction I give him.
I ask you, do I have creative freedom? And you go, yes, you have creative freedom. And then I just go and do it.
I think for me, the hardest part for me is to kind of, understand how I want to see something
exactly
like, all of that together.
It's not easy, man. It's not easy. It's a difficult thing to direct.
It's not like it's a film or a long piece, or maybe that's why I'm looking at it wrong. It is a film, just a very shorter version. But that's the part that I always kind of struggle with. Is like, I know this is what I want to say, and I think that's why now we do the voiceover and the video separately. And Stephen has talked about this on the show before about even being able to do the artwork and get it right with the narration is quite an art in itself. Just that part of video editing. So, do you enjoy the whole part of it, or is there certain parts that you're like, oh, I really like this, I hate doing this part, I hate when someone doesn't give me clear direction?
I love creating. I love the story part of it. So when Dan approached me and he said that Dan approached me pretty much the same way. So he came to me and he was like, I want to make a trailer for Fractured Shards, and I was like, cool, let's do it. And then we went and sat down in my room, and Dan really sat there and didn't really know what to say or say much. Like he doesn't, he had a vision of what he wanted. So the initial thing that I wanted to create, I was like, okay. I was like, what kind of tone are we going to create? Okay, so he told me about the story, and he said it's this dystopian future, and it's kind of the main character is kind of this tortured soul. And I said, okay, well, we're going to make it a dark tone, so, it's kind of a dark story. It's not There's a lot of layers to it. And so when the trailer starts, you know, it's got the kind of that kind of sound. So it immediately creates that tone and that aesthetic of what you're going into. So you know something's you know, what's happening here. So it comes with the logos, and then going straight to the character of Sebastian. He's got his eyes closed and he's you know, he's thinking, he's kind of in some zone. So I just kind of think of it that way. Like I'm thinking of like, okay, what kind of emotion are you and feeling are you trying to kind of emulate here? What are you trying to convey to this audience? Yeah, and that's kind of how I go about it. And so the visuals and stuff like that, I kind of pick certain things that are a bit exciting. So the bits that I pick for the trailer, like I like the part where he's walking down the hallway with the, you know, the different mirrors and the shards and stuff, and he's kind of having that vision. I like that because I like doing that, and I was like, people are gonna go, what's this? You know, what is he seeing? Why is he seeing that? And then the other part where he's kind of involved in a bit of a brawl and he's got his gun, and I just add the effect of the gun going off. You know, so it adds to the whole tone and aesthetic of what you're in for when you get this comic. So no, it was exciting. I liked it, but I also wanted to keep it a bit ambiguous as well, where people don't really know what it's about.
Yeah, that entrance part where it's the typing, like I was just like, oh my god, this is great, you know, type of thing, because it was like that semi Matrix-esque type of feeling for me, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, and again, that music picks up as you're going, so it's like starts, but then it once you know the laughing and the guy's like, oh, you know, things that go bad, and it's like and really builds up.
Yeah, and the action starts. Yeah, because that's the kind of the way a trailer is supposed to be. Like you're supposed to kind of build up in the different acts. Starts off really quietly, introduces the characters, and then when it gets to the third act, it's usually just like ends with a bang, and then it ends with you think it ends, and then it goes straight to the static and the voice. You know, and they're like, what's his voice? Who's his voice? You know, why is his voice calling his name? You know, so it's all very ambiguous.
That's I love that part. Since we're talking about trailers, and look, I in terms of, say, recent movies, what would you consider a trailer that you've watched, you know, last 5-10 years that you think this is like deep? You may have hated the movie, doesn't matter, but you love the trailer for it.
One that comes to mind straight away is, have you seen the film Battle Los Angeles?
Yes.
Yes. Movie was trash. it was a terrible movie, but, you know, really badly critically panned. But there's a teaser trailer for it that is literally just to music, and it's to this really kind of haunting song. And it's just visuals of like war, and it's the visuals of the action, and it's the visuals of the people, and it's like suffering, and then it builds to this crescendo. That's like this deafening, like really, really awesome, and then it just cuts off, and then just shows the date of when it's going to be released. And it's trailers like that I absolutely love, where you have no idea what's going on. You're completely just like bombarded with visuals, like it fits in with the music, which like builds up to this third act that is just so intense, and it's like heart pounding. You're like, those are the kind of trailers that I love. You know, like I think trailers nowadays get it wrong so many times, because they tell the whole story. You know, you pretty much feel like you've watched the whole movie. Like I like the trailers where they're you don't really know what's going on. Or this is an old one, but the teaser, the first trailer for Alien, the very first Alien.
I don't remember the trailer for that one, but
if you watch that trailer, it's basically they use like the music that they use is pretty much the distress call from the film, so it's ew, 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 and they use that all the way through, and they use all these visuals where you have no idea what's happening. They have the cat the cat kind of hissing. And then they have, it just
person runs through the hallway, the lights are flickering.
You have no idea what's happening. Sigourney Weaver's face, and she's sweating and she's scared, and those trailers where you are just bombarded with just crazy visuals, and it just leaves you just going, what did I just watch? Those are the trailers I love.
I'll check that trailer out. But talking
Yeah,
about
you should.
trailers,
Yeah,
we
one of my
should get to-
favorites.
And a
get to
trailer
one.
not to get you hyped for a film. The latest Matrix trailer is horrible. I'm just like,
Yeah, I was
you've
like, it's either a
literally-
hit or
you've
miss.
lit-
It's either a hit or miss.
I'm like, you've literally just used. I think they were. I don't know whether they were going for that nostalgic. Oh, let's just put everything that was in the original trailer in this one type of thing with the White Rabbit, the pills, and all that type of stuff. But I was just like, I feel like I'm just getting a very bad reboot of the exact same film like that. I didn't walk away going, oh my God, that's amazing. Where on the flip side of that, the original trailer for The Force Awakens was, again, I have to tie everything back into Star Wars month, but it is amazing that when you first see the Millennium Falcon for the first time and you're flying through and you everything, and then all you get is Han Solo and Chewbacca coming through the door and like, we're home.
Oh, we're home. Sorry.
Yeah. The film was trash, but
I know what you mean. But that just ties into the importance of trailers. You could make a trailer that is really, really amazing, and the film could be awful. These are the selling points, and it ties in with the Kickstarters as well. Like you're wanting to sell a project. You want people to be passionate. You want to get behind it, and that's kind of how I approach when I make the Kickstarter videos and trailers and stuff. Is that I want people to be excited. I want to evoke some kind of emotion from them. I want them to actually want to back projects and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of how I go about it.
Oh, definitely. But look, just on one more bad trailer. If you want absolutely horrible trailer, Terminator Genesis. They gave the plot away. They gave I don't know if
that he was a robot.
Oh yeah, John Connor was basically a robot. So
yeah, that he was a robot. Yeah,
if I was the writer on that movie, I would have gone to whoever released that trailer and strangled him, because that was the plot twist in the third act. It wasn't even like a earlier plot twist, which gets explained. It was a third act plot twist where they thought they got away from the Terminator. They saw John Connor in the past, and they were going, "Oh my God, John, you're here to save us." No, I am machine as well. Whatever. They gave it away in the trailer. It was like
that's like kind of like it's kind of suicide when you do stuff like that. Like the audience immediately is going to hate it. Especially I think I saw a comment here about creating a trailer for a film that makes the film look completely different to what you see in the cinema. So if you're cheating an audience, I think that's suicide as well. It's very risky.
I cannot remember the movie, whether it's Stallone or Harrison Ford or something like that, and it's got Kurt Russell in it as well, I think, or no, Steven Seagal and someone, and he dies within like the first minute of the film, and the whole trailer
or whatever,
like
him.
Seagal and Kurt Russell in blah 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 blah. I can't even remember what the film is called now. If someone knows what that film is called, please pop it in the chat.
Yeah.
But
he'd be the selling point, so that's what they were going with. It cheats an audience, makes people angry.
Yeah. So, but there's some really good questions here. Nerds Amalgamated said, how do you avoid spoiling a comic when it comes to making a trailer? So, we always talk about showing artwork so people know what they're getting, but not giving away the whole story. How do you go about that, telling it from a visual video style?
Well, I have to have full-on conversations with the people who are creating and writing. And so with Dan, like I had to have a full-on conversation with him about what the story is. He gave me the layout, and he told me about specific parts that he didn't want. He didn't want to reveal. He didn't want to reveal that certain storylines that were going to unfold. And so I had to make sure that I chose certain panels that were kind of ambiguous. Like, you didn't really know what was happening. You didn't know what was going on. So in terms of like the Kickstarter videos and stuff like that, I kind of make sure that I fit the visuals to the voiceovers. So the person doing the voiceover and they're talking about their project, they're not going to talk about stuff that's going to spoil the story. And so I make sure that I choose visuals that don't really fit in kind of the way it kind of goes in the story. So sometimes I mix them up and I put them in different parts. So, or I will edit, kind of certain panels and stuff and put like different backgrounds, but put the character in the foreground, that kind of thing. So it kind of, it kind of fits in, and it can be a bit confusing. So I always make sure that communication is the highest priority, and then I make sure that I'm not. Yes, yeah. You always have to make sure that you're not spoiling certain parts that are going to be exciting for the reader.
Yeah, Sabrina said it's a crazy job that you have done. I know that really each of us are proud to have participated in the project. I hope there will be a few of them, which will be, yes, volume 2 will
definitely.
And look, and Sabrina, look, thank you very much. Like, I say this so many times, it's because of the backers and you guys who support what we do. And and this part we're not joking about, we're not having fun. It's really thank you, because without your support, we can't do all the stuff. Dan can't do it, I can't do it, Shaun can't do it. It's because you take part in our journey that we can build all these really cool and crazy stories. And thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Nerds Amalgamated also asked, they're interested in making trailers themselves, but they don't know where to start. YouTube is a great place, I think.
Yeah,
you can pretty much like put in how to blah 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 and find anything. But is there any place that you would tell people to start?
There is. It depends on whether or not you want to pay or anything. So there is a training that you can do called the Art of Editing Pro, which is that kind of teaches you how to do kind of action editing or drama editing, and they give you examples, and then you can edit like an action scene together. That's kind of fun as well. And they also teach you how to do movie trailers. And I think they have like a little competition that they do within the group where you make a movie trailer and then they pick a winner, that kind of thing. That's kind of fun. And I just say, just like practice, get like, you can get some stock footage, you can, and download that and just put stuff together. Watch as many trailers as you want. It is a difficult thing to kind of get into if you don't have kind of a starting off point or somebody giving you a project to work on. Like, I understand that. So I'm very lucky that I've got, I've been able to network and have, my brother help me with that, which has been great. But yeah, you just gotta look at YouTube. There's competitions that you can enter as well to make trailers and stuff. There's so much. You just gotta Google it. There's so many things at your fingertips.
Yeah, I was really surprised if you go to Film Freeway, I think it's called, where they do a lot of like movie award ceremonies, so festivals and all that type of stuff. There's a whole section just on trailers. I didn't even realize.
It's an art. It's an art in its own.
Yeah. So, and Mandeep has said, and I do tend to do this now as well, that he avoids trailers for anticipated movies these days because they give too much away.
Exactly.
I have not seen any of the Far From Home Spider-Man stuff because there is so much.
They give a lot away. They give a lot away.
I tell you what, I just kind of want to go and enjoy that. I've really enjoyed that franchise, so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to actually watch any of that. So
I'll be right back, guys. I just need to get my power pack. I'll be a second.
No problem. I've just shared the 13th Labor thing. Amelia and the links in the comments. This is another Nathan trailer, so be sure to watch it. Are you planning to show it again?
Yeah, I'll do it now while he's done it.
My name is David Gay. This is Charlie, and welcome back to the 13th Labor. If you're new to the series, The 13th Labor is a fantasy sci-fi comic written by myself, illustrated by Arturo Mesa, and lettered by Tom Napolitano. Issue 1 found Greek demigod Hercules at the end of his 12 labors of atonement, but instead of finding forgiveness, Hercules was confronted with the sobering realization that years of labors had done nothing to ease his pain and suffering. Seizing his son's moment of uncertainty, Zeus tasked Hercules with the 13th labor, to travel thousands of years into the future in order to find and train his descendant for an upcoming intergalactic tournament of champions. But things didn't go as planned. Issue 2 brings us into modern times, where a mysterious teenage girl named Pippa draws the attention of Hercules and his babysitter Hermes. The 13th labor truly begins as we start to unravel the tragedy of Hercules and Pippa's intertwining sagas of loss and forgiveness. With exclusive art rewards by Arturo, including personalized sketches, variant covers, and full illustrations, now is the perfect time to join us on this mythic journey.
God, I love that video too. God, I love that video too.
So yeah, I wanted to play like a trailer.
Yeah, and as you can see, we're 61% funded at the moment. We're live for another 2 weeks. So yeah, if you haven't checked out the project, please head over. Stephen's pops the link in the chat. Head over and check it out. There's some very cool, amazing rewards, but Nathan's done an amazing video. You can just watch it over and over again. So
I'll ask one question to both of you, and since Nathan more from your creative perspective, and Shaun more from a you think it works perspective. Look, Kickstarter usually advises, and when you do these Kickstarter videos, to make you put yourself in it so that people can see the creator, get that connection to that creator. And there's another whole train of thought that says, hey, but if you do that, it looks a little bit not as professional. To have videos which are very almost like an ad, so people buy into it because it looks a lot more professional rather than having somebody talk. What's your take? Do you prefer the videos which are pure trailer, or do you prefer the videos which? One good example was Keanu Reeves did a huge Kickstarter for Berserker, a comic, and he filmed himself for like I think a 10 seconds saying "I love comics," and he went on a little bit of that. So Keanu Reeves, and the thing was that footage was, very much webcam type footage, but it showed Keanu trying to make that connection. Do you think that's good or that's bad? Anna, what's your thoughts?
Well, when I was doing the research and stuff like that, like I saw a lot of Kickstarters where it was people just kind of sitting in front of the camera and talking. So they had like a simple title card and they were talking and stuff. And I was like, I didn't find it very exciting or very engaging. I think it can be very hit or miss. If you're brand new and you're creating a project, I do believe that you can do both. Like you can have somebody introduce themselves at the beginning, and then when you go in to talk about the story, that's when you're going to focus on the visuals, and it's going to be exciting and it's going to play like a trailer. And that's usually how I go about it. So they'll introduce themselves, and then I will have the rest of it as visual right to the end, and they do like an outro. So it could be like intro, outro, and then the rest of it is visual, because I think that that's more exciting for people and engaging. So if it's something that people aren't aware of and you're trying to sell people on something, I don't think you sitting there and talking to a camera is going to be very engaging too much, to be honest. I think it needs to be a bit more exciting.
Yeah. So for me, and from a business point of view, is you need to do two things. You need to be able to connect and sell yourself to the audience, and you need to get them interested in your product, and you need to tell them about what they can get in a very short amount of time. So videos are something that you need to practice. It's not something that you can do a day before you launch and just go, can you whip this up for me? Because it doesn't then tell a story, as we were talking about before. So, with that one, it's all about that introduction of who the person is. So you actually get to see who the person is. On this one, I really loved that David had his cat in the video. So
Totally.
he introduced himself and his cat. So again, that makes you a little bit more personalized and everything when you're talking to people.
Yeah.
And then you've got the visual effects around it. Now, I understand, when people are starting out that you don't have a lot of money or a lot of funds and all that type of stuff. But Stephen, my 3 R's are going to come out again tonight. Repurpose, reuse, recycle. Being able to have someone do a video, be able to do snippets, and Nathan has done this for us before, where he's taken exactly what he's done, but in a 20-second slot, and we've reused it as an advertisement or as a story on Instagram or something like that. So you just kind of need to know that when you're doing something like that and you're investing the money in it, that you kind of get a couple of things out of it that you're able to reuse. We use the videos a lot on our YouTube streams to show people what amazing videos will look like. I go back and have a look at my first XCT ones where I'm sitting there going, and my name is Shaun. And
hello.
Really love you to my project.
Hi,
thanks
guys.
so much. Bye. What are you, Shaun? A robot? What's wrong? And it takes a while to get comfortable in front of a camera and all that type of stuff. So those people that don't like being seen on camera, being able just to do that first 10 seconds and say, "Hi, I'm Stephen," and then be able to do the rest as a trailer type video, I think is a great compromise for both. So that's a long-winded answer.
I agree.
No, it's good. Like I agree with that. Like, and Shaun knows I hate doing videos. It's oh, look,
send them my way, brother. Send them my way.
We'll do. Everything goes to you. Because the other thing would be is I remember once I needed a female voice across one video, so I asked one of my friends who actually had the right voice for it, but she's never done voiceover work. The trailer was only meant to be about a minute. It took more than an hour to record because she kept accidentally stumbling on words, missing the cues. It's a tough gig. Even when I try to time myself like a proper voiceover, in the end I just give up. In the end I just record what I do and then change the video to fit myself. It's
do what you do. Do the voiceover and all that stuff first, and then work out the visuals later. Yeah. The best way to do it.
I give Nathan. I just say it all out, and then I'm like, okay, here we go. Can you put something pretty to this?
That's it. Yeah, just give me all the assets, and then I just go from there. So as long as I've got the voiceover and all of that stuff in the comics, the high quality like PSD files and stuff are the best. Like I love those because they're so easy to isolate certain layers, and I love it. So as long as you got that, you just kind of do the voiceover and work out the music and stuff later.
But even if you have, like, if you're launching a Kickstarter, look, and I know some people don't have time to invest videos, and some people don't know how to use different software. Even a simple video where you just scroll pictures across the screen and you just rotate them through, and you pick what they call key panels, like things that show a bit of the story and something that's exciting, something that's tension filled. Even if you show, say, 4 or 5 key panels, have each panel stay up for about 6-7 seconds. Throw a couple of words in, even something like that shows you're committed to the Kickstarter. I have to admit, if I go to Kickstarter and there's no video there, I'm a little bit disappointed. It's just because you think if you want somebody to put money on your project, and you didn't even put a video on, it's like,
what? Best scenario. Yeah.
And we always
because you need to have the hook. You need the hook, like in the video provides that. So.
And that's skin in the game. And that's what we talk about. Like, crowdfunding and Kickstarter is amazing. We have amazing fans, and everyone that's watching, we absolutely love you guys. But we need to show them that we're got our own skin in the game as well. And by just leaving bits and pieces off your Kickstarter, either portrays that you're kind of a little bit lazy, or that you
Mm-hmm.
you don't have that skin in the game, or you're not willing to put that skin in the game. Now that might not be true at all, but that's what it kind
It
of
will come across that way.
portrays a little bit. So
Yeah. You got to be completely meticulous with everything that you're putting out there.
yeah. Now, the other thing, and Stephen always loves his analytical data, is I can say on the 3 projects now that I've had you do videos for, they have been the most watched videos, so out of my Kickstarters, but also have the highest amount of watching to the end. So on Kickstarter, it shows how many people have played your video, but whether they've watched it to
The whole way.
So yeah, you know, with the current one, for example, it's at about 81% people have watched it all the way to the end. So that's a pretty high conversion. I think prior Kickstarters was about 17%. So
Really?
if people are giving that amount of
Wow,
time
okay.
to your yeah. So if people are giving that amount of time to your project, like straight off the bat, that's you know quite a good thing to do.
Yeah, you know that you're making an engagement with people, and there's enough, you know, have an effect on people. That's what you want, you know. So that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. I didn't know that. Cool.
Now, if people want to reach out to you or hire you or just get some ideas off you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Probably through email, I would say. So I could put the email out there if we're wanting that.
What we'll do is just because we don't like to publicly put emails through, if you
Gotcha.
drop a message to either the Fractured Charts Facebook page or the Comics2Movie Facebook page and say, hey, look, I'm such and such. I would like to reach out to Nathan because I love the video. We're happy to pass your email on to Nathan, and then Nathan can reach out to you. Not a good idea to publicly broadcast emails. Take our advice for that one.
If I put it out there, mate, you'll get all the junk emails that push through looking for email.
Rookie
how many emails I get?
Never mind.
Yeah. How many I get from, you know, I'm not even going to say my email because I have that on my website, and just like there's a whole heap.
Yeah. I'm starting off like the business side of it and everything as well. So I'm going to start off with like business email and stuff. And I was like, I've never really like thought about it too much, but now I'm like, I should definitely get into it and get that rolling so that I could, you know, the work can come flooding in. So.
But if you reach out to Comics2Movies Facebook page or Fractured Charts Facebook page, we'll be more than happy to pass your details on. So
that'll be a better way.
A lot safer way.
Can you give us an idea of what you're working on at the moment? Is there anything in the works or?
I just finished a Kickstarter for a project called The Apparition, which was really awesome. You know, so that's something you can check out as well on Kickstarter. I really enjoyed that. I worked with the client Kieran. He was really awesome for Half Turn Productions. He was great. So I literally just finished that up just recently. So I guess there's more work to come. I'm sure there's stuff in the pipeline.
I'm going to send you an email after this with all the stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's stuff that's unsaid that's in the pipeline.
So we'll let everyone now. Here's an exclusive. We've got the first 13 pages fully colored. Stephen is lettering them at the moment, but we're going to send those across to Nathan to do up a video for that. If we can just get his brother to do the voiceover at the moment. He's very busy on his soap opera these days. So
on Days of Our Lives, with his smoldering look.
I wonder if he's going to come home like that, you know, or when we do like stream, he'll just every now and then just stop and it'll be silent and he'll just look at you
and he'll just stare at me for 5 minutes and just move his head.
You've done that before, Stephen. I can tell. but that's exciting. And if you did miss at the start of the show, we said that Fractured Shards is going to print this week, which is super exciting. It is a little bit bigger than the initial page count, which is fantastic. So people are going to get more bang for their buck as well. And then for my XCT Monsters campaign, I just literally got the final proofs in tonight as well. So very, very exciting stuff coming our way. As I mentioned, the 13th Labor issue 1 and 2 is up on Kickstarter at the moment. If you haven't checked it out, please head across there. It's an amazing story. It's an 8-issue miniseries. This is the second issue, but you can grab both 1 and 2 while you're there. Stephen, Nathan, did you want to say anything else before we sign off for the night?
Oh, nothing from me. But look, thank you, Nathan, for coming on. It was really, really great to talk to you. And look,
Thank you very much for having me. This has been a blast.
Your trailers are awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much. It actually makes me feel really, really good to like hear all that stuff about the analytics and like how much everybody loves it. And yeah, it's really, that's what you want to hear. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for making the time to come on, mate. I appreciate it. And I will admit, the reason why we got you on the show was that we had Kieran on last week, and people actually asked, they're like, oh, can you bring Nathan on the show and talk about those videos and trailers? And we absolutely love them. So that is why I reached out to you, mate. So, you know, sometimes
awesome.
like with all of this, I kind of sometimes forget to give people feedback on how well things are received. And, you know, I've been even doing that with Stephen lately with some of his lettering stuff and going, man, you know, do you know how much people actually really like this stuff and that, and you kind of sometimes don't get that feedback. So we really appreciate everything that you've done for us. And
thank you so much.
You know, we look forward to working with you even more in the future, and then hopefully maybe a Netflix series or something down the track.
Oh yeah,
that would be
amazing.
Exciting.
That's a dream. That's a dream.
But thanks. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Again, we go live each Sunday night at 10 p.m. If you haven't, smash that subscribe button, hit that notify bell, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.